to do is go to viesme.com, viesme.com, and that's where you will find everything about Memoirs of a Forgotten Child and also what I've been up to. I do daily blogs, so it would be in the blog section. I also do YouTube videos, so it would be in the YouTube videos. And for the book, you can either go to the book, which details what's inside the book and the reason of it coming into existence. And if you already know all that because you watched all my YouTube videos, then you go to the store tab. And at the store tab is the back cover and the front cover together. And you would just click the miniature version of the book, and then you would get to the book page, and then you would get to the cart, and all you gotta do is click add cart and proceed from there. So as promised, I said I was going to make a video about bipolar, and this is that video about bipolar. Now, I could talk about the symptoms of bipolar, how to determine someone is bipolar, but then I thought about the myths and misconceptions about bipolar and people who do have bipolar. A lot of people use bipolar as a synonym for someone who's crazy, and that's not the same. So this video is going to explain bipolar by detailing the myths and then give you the actual factual myths about bipolar. And if you see me looking down, I'm looking down on my laptop where I'm pulling this information up. A lot of people have a misconception that bipolar is rare. And the truth of the matter is bipolar is not that rare. So when it comes to the US population, roughly 5.7 million Americans who have bipolar, 2.6, and it said that there's an estimation of 3/4 of children have bipolar, but a lot of it is undiagnosed, which I think is high, but that's what it's saying. I'm not saying that's not true. There may be some elements of bipolar, but that's what I'm getting at. It's not that rare. I know that now today when people are going through mood issues or they feel some type of way, all of a sudden, I'm in my feelings, I'm in my bag, I'm bipolar today, and it's like, you don't really want to joke about mental illness because there are people who actually do suffer from it, and it's not something that they choose, and it's not something that they're just going through for a moment. It's actually a part of their daily routine. It's not something that they can just jump out of. It's in them. Another myth is that bipolar is just another way of saying you're a diva or you're in your bag, you're in your feelings. Like I was saying, it's a mood swing, you'll get over it. It's just something you're going through right now, and that is a falsehood because it's not. It's something that you go through on a daily basis. People who suffer from bipolar, you have your days, you have your horrible days, but it's something that you go through. It's not something that you choose. It's not something that fades away over time. It's not something that you do to seek attention. It's something that affects you. It's a chemical imbalance in the brain. That's what all mental disorders are, is a chemical imbalance in the brain. Another myth is that people with bipolar go through your mania stage where you're very happy, you're very just...
And then this is dramatic depression where you just want to be suicidal and you're angry, you have dark clouds.
And it's like
Jekyll and Hyde, 1 minute you're happy,
1 minute you're sad, and you just go through this and it's just rapid in your body.
And that's not really how it works. For most people who suffer with bipolar, you experience depression more often than you do experience mania. And then on top of that, mania does not necessarily mean that you're happy. It just may mean that you're agitated right now. You're very irked by the world. Like, you just have your days where you don't know why you're pissed, but you're pissed. And everything pisses you off. Air itself pisses you off. So it's not the up and down. Like, it reminds me of that episode.
Y'all watched Degrassi because I watched Degrassi when I was younger.
And there was that episode where that kid, I forgot his name, but he had the rocker thing going on, and he went to like a hotel room or something. He just trashed everything, and then that's when the topic of bipolar came up, and everybody was like, oh my god, he's crazy. And then, you know, they just find out that he was bipolar. That's not how it works. You don't, for most people who do suffer bipolar, you don't go from hyperactive child on a chocolate binge to all of a sudden psycho killer, depression, you want to kill cats. Like, it's not that. It's never that. So that's another myth about people who do have bipolar. Again, like I was saying, a lot of people have the misconception that when you are in your manic stage that you are super elated, and that's not true for everyone. Like, some people do actually have very happy stages, but for most people you're just slightly agitated to being extremely agitated, and it's not necessarily a rapid shift. It's kind of like a growth, a smooth elevation of it, but you don't stay in your manic stage. So you don't stay in your manic stage, but you also don't rapidly change to being depressed either. It's more like, it's kind of like being on the sea and the boat like kind of goes up and down. It is kind of like a shift. It's kind of like that with mental illness when it comes to bipolar, but it's nothing that you see in the movies. It's nothing dramatic. It's not like the Joker. Even though I love the Joker, it's not like the Joker. Also, when you are in your manic stage, you might do things that are off. Like, you may just be on a road to do things that typically isn't you. You might go spend money that you don't have just because it feels good. There's that high sensation in your brain when you are in a carefree mode. You might, get yourself into trouble because it feels good at the moment, or you might end up having crazy amount of sex because it feels good. So you might do things that are out of your norm because you're in your manic stage and you feel a sensation. It feels like a really good thing that you're doing at that moment. But that's what mania typically is. It's kind of like you're going off the fringes and just doing what you want to do and being carefree and doing things outside of the norm. Like, there's a whole lot of energy. You're like on an energy drink for that period, and it's just intense that after your manic stage you might regret. Another myth is that bipolar can be determined through a test, like something you quiz out or you fill out or you check off on an application, which is a myth. A lot of factors contribute to mental illness. It could be a family history. Your doctor would probably be the one documenting you and the things that you go through. You go to checkups, there's a form that you fill before the checkup, and they tell you like, how are you feeling? Or have your behaviors changed? They ask you things like that, and it's kind of like, I'm just coming to like get my blood checked. It really has nothing to do with how I feel. That's what they're taking, and it would determine, and just seeing how you are functioning, what you're thinking, your behavior is more like it, but it's not something that you fill out and then in 10 minutes they're like, yes, you have bipolar. No, you don't have bipolar. You have slight bipolar. You have mild bipolar. It's not like a quiz. It's not that. Another myth of bipolar is that you can't be diagnosed before the age of 18, which is false. So you don't have to be diagnosed until you become an adult. Probably when you're adult, it's more prevalent that your behavior's erratic because people just see it and they're like, okay, you're adult, these are adult like things you should be doing. And they see that you're more depressed, or they see when you're going through your manic stages, you're acting out of character, and it's not necessarily that you're youthful and you're just doing young and dumb things. They're probably like, oh, there's something wrong there. But like I said, you can be under the age of 18 and they can determine, your doctor can determine if you do have bipolar. Another myth is that people with bipolar shouldn't take antidepressants because in your mind it's like a switch. If you take antidepressants, then all of a sudden you'll become manic and do outrageous things. And that's a falsehood, because antidepressants will take you out of being depressed. It will help with your depression, but it's not going to flip a switch in your head. It's going to make you all of a sudden go through a manic stage. What it will do is elevate and balance out your moods versus light on, light off. It doesn't work that way. But that's something you would have to talk to with your doctor, so your doctor can find the right medication and the right amount of dosage to stabilize your mood, because too much antidepressants not necessarily make take you into a manic stage, but it just might not be healthy for your psychological or even for your body. You know, all drugs do have side effects, so that's something that you would definitely have to talk to your doctor about versus reading on the internet or watching a video. So another so-called myth, I say so-called myth because I don't necessarily agree, but okay, is that you could just talk yourself out of bipolar, meaning that you don't need to take medication, you just need to talk about it. And I do agree, talking about it does take a lot of stress out of you. But what I am reading is that you should take medication, you should stick to a routine and be very regular with what you do, your eating habits and your behaviors and even going to sleep. And I'm like, I guess. But personally for me, what I would say is that talking is really good. Talking elevates you. Like having somebody who can hear you out, someone who's going to support you, someone who's going to not judge you, gives you more of a vulnerability to just be yourself, and they can correct you knowing that it's not coming from a place of hate or coming from a place of criticism to knock you down. It's coming from a place where it's like, look, I care for you, I'm down for you, but what you're doing right now, you're slipping. You're collecting L's right now. I'm gonna need you to get it together. And that may make you be like, you don't know what you're talking about, I'm still gonna do me. Or it's going to make you be like, you're my friend, you're thorough, I wouldn't knock what you're saying. And not even just a friend, just talking to a therapist, having someone hear you out, having someone that duty is to make sure that you are on the right path and to make sure that you are guided, that it's not just someone you're talking to and they just can't relate, because sometimes family and friends don't relate because they're not bipolar. And a therapist may not be bipolar, but they understand bipolar, so it's not a criticism or they're kind of like, yeah, you're going through your manic stage, or you're really depressed right now, like, let's talk about it. But I'm not a doctor. So they're saying that, yeah, you should stick to your meds, you should stick to a routine. And yeah, you should seek a therapist, but you should take pills. I am really anti-pills, so that's why I was like, But I guess, who am I? I'm not an expert. So that is my video on bipolar. Hopefully it helps you, and if it doesn't help you, hopefully it helps somebody else. If you do know somebody this video could help, please pass it forward to them. So yeah, comment, rate, subscribe, tell me what you think. Have you experienced that bipolar? Have you been diagnosed, or do you just think you are? What are other myths that you have heard about bipolar that you want to add on? Let me know below, and be blessed. Also, I want anybody who is viewing this video, especially if you are bipolar or you know someone who is bipolar, you're not crazy. Doesn't mean that you're crazy. It just means that you have a chemical imbalance in your brain and you just need extra assistance. Your mood is very sensible to outside society and what you're feeling internally. It just is what it is. I don't want anybody to think that they're crazy or they're a weirdo, or they just are so isolated. And you have 5.7 million Americans who are adults suffering from it, and 3/4 of the population supposedly has bipolar elements to it. So you're definitely not crazy. A lot of people do have it, and just be healthy, be secure, make the right decisions, and you'll be fine. Things happen. You still live a successful, happy, thriving life. It's not gonna hold you back. Peace.